Welcome back, everybody, to This Is My Bourbon podcast. I'm your host, Perry, and with me, as he always is, it's my co-host, Eric, the Whiskey Mutant.
That's me.
Eric, how do you think you did in Matt Madness last week?
Fuck!
For whatever happened in the competition is how I've edited that. Patreon got the unedited version.
Yeah, so
I'm either really happy for you or really sorry
or
about it.
Yeah. What would I have to do to completely embarrass you? Like, seriously, like, what's the one
I don't know, honestly.
Like, if I just got on and I was just blitzed and, like, I just messed up the whole stream.
Oh, dude, if you came on and you were so hammered that, like...
I was just like... for 2 hours.
That would actually be kind of embarrassing, I'm not going to lie.
Nothing to do with scoring. Like, you know, it's all blind. Like, you do bad, you do good. But if I, like, just came on just totally sloshed and I was like...
Yeah, that'd be weird.
I was like, Tim. I was just going, Tim, the whole time.
Like everybody at the Vatican last week that was cheering USA when the Pope got announced.
Stuff like that.
It was like, oh... Man.
I would never do that. I even told you before we started recording that I was like, okay, we got to keep it a little light because I got to be ready for them.
And we did.
Yeah.
We did a good job of keeping it light. Eric had a little practice round beforehand. Don't know how it went just yet because, of course, we're recording on the same day as actual competition round.
We are currently 7 hours from competition. So I've already been talking to Thrasher. So I call him Thrash Daddy in the text.
I wish that I had been a little bit more judicious with my time and my pours before the competition.
I'll tell you, as of right now, I'll tell you what's going on. So Thrasher apparently was surprised that Matt had already got the people set up. He's already sent me the link. Wow, Matty, getting this done early today. And he said, hi, Eric. And I was like, Thrash Daddy.
You know what
Then Matt said, was on the toilet and now my leg is 100% asleep. Can't hardly stand. So
here's the inside baseball of it all too is that Matt has to set those chats up for everybody who's in the competition.
Yeah.
So he's done that for you, he's done that for Darrell, he's done that for Big Vic.
Right.
So I wonder if that conversation has happened in all three of those different chats. I don't know. I would like
Maybe
to think
I'm
that
the
it
annoying
does.
one that's just like, I'm using this as a new group chat. Now it's me, Thrasher, and Matt are going to be in a group chat forever.
You're now all best friends.
Yes. And whether I won or lost, you know, I have a new group chat to talk into. So, you know, talking about meat with Thrasher.
Before we get into this week's episode 2, I want to let you all know that we, in a few weeks, are going to be going to the International Wine and Spirits competition.
In San Francisco?
No. That's the San Francisco.
You got us flights?
No, dude.
We're part of that?
I wish. That would be fun, though, if we got to go out that got covered.
Like, Make-A-Wish kids that come out there, like... Make-A-Wish bourbon.
You get to actually try it.
We get to take a picture with
this is Jim
Fred
Beam.
Minnick.
I love Derek.
Derek has been my friend for so long. And he finally got to fulfill his wish of coming to the San Francisco competition.
He's still calling me Perry, but he's calling you Derek.
I wouldn't be surprised, honestly.
Oh, man.
That would be hilarious.
Oh, that would be so good.
Anyway.
But we will be going to the International Wine and Spirits competition in Bardstown, Kentucky in a few weeks. Hence the reason that we're doing these interviews today with Dawn and Bridget. So I hope you're excited for these. I recorded them a little bit earlier in the week, but I'm looking forward to hearing what you all have to say about them. I was very excited for the opportunity to do that. We're going to be doing some like actual on-site
Did they give you
behind
an
the
award?
scenes. Yes. Best podcast idiot.
Did they give you a card that says, give this to a Total Wine employee and they can write their favorite thing about you?
No, what they gave me was a card that says, give this to a Total Wine employee for 2 free bottle returns on anything you don't like of our Spirits Direct program.
Nice. Can I have one of those?
Yeah, it also says two for your employee or 2 for your
I'm gonna
co-host.
let you go ahead and keep those 2.
Yeah, that's fair.
You need to recoup some stuff.
Yeah. I'm gonna be rambling on
Ramble
about that for a little
while.
No, it was a very cool opportunity, and we're excited about that. So, first week of June, we're gonna be headed out to Bardstown. And I'm looking forward to it. But before that, if you want early access to everything that we do here on the podcast, please head over to patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast. For as little as $1 a month, you can support the show. Keep the lights on, of course, but for as little as $5 a month and on up into different tiers, you can get bonus content every single week, including but not limited to a bonus episode on Mondays. There's the pregame chats that come out every Tuesday and early access to the main episode. But the benefit of being on the Patreon is the episode comes out early and uncut and unedited, unfiltered. There's a lot of fun stuff that we do just for the Patreon uncut episode.
I'm lucky to be here. Some of the stuff I've said on Patreon.
Yeah.
So
we've lost people.
Sorry.
Yeah. That railroad track is condemned now.
Remember Perry Russell? Let's talk about him.
Somehow Pete's still around. He just won't die. Bye, bud.
Gotta go to work.
But there are like other tiers of the Patreon as well. There's a free shirt,
God tier,
free shirt tier,
S tier,
best friend tier,
best friend tier.
Yeah, but also if you are on the Patreon too, you have access to our Discord as well. It's a Patreon only Discord where you can chat with us, hang out, and
some people
have
get
a great
mad
time
on there. Some people take things too serious. It's a family.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
As
then the next
families
day we're all fine. It's
be
fine. Everything's fine on Discord.
Usually isn't. We're putting out fires left, right, and center.
I'm usually causing them, honestly.
There have been a few fires that you've started on
I
the
have lit the
Discord
match and
that
I have
I've
just
had
let
to,
it burn, baby.
I've had to put out.
I've just sat back and watched, and just as the flames went insanely bright.
We normally kick off episodes with a segment called Flying Blind or Sips and Snacks. We haven't done Sips and Snacks in a few weeks.
I got a good one, baby.
We're doing Sips and Snacks.
Like, I'm not going to even try to act. You already know what this is.
I do, because I saw your wife's Facebook post about your youngest getting some goodies for his teachers.
Goodies for his teachers. His teacher apparently loves Spalding donuts, which we've had this before. We've probably paired it on the show, but if you didn't know, Spalding's is a bakery that opens at 6:30 a.m. People line up. It's cash only, and when they gone, they gone. So you can't just show up at like 9 o'clock and expect to get you a Spalding's donut. So today we have Spalding's donuts, and
Yay!
I got a pairing. When we picked our Lawrenceburg Bourbon Company pick,
Which people are starting to kill bottles of, by the way.
apparently
Mike Green.
this one might be killed soon too. It was the most I originally said it was like a banana split, like a little bit of banana, but all these toppings.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a very topping heavy pour. You've got layers of like strawberry. What are you talking about? What was that?
What are we doing here? What is this donut?
It's just a regular donut.
Oh, okay.
It's Spalding's. They only have regular.
Oh, yeah, I guess you're right.
I'm saying we're going to add a bunch of layers to this.
It's not North
already,
Lime.
No, it's already delicious. Spalding's is just the straight up best, like, glazed donut you can get. I'm saying we add our Lawrenceburg Bourbon Company pick, and we can make a chocolate donut. We can make a strawberry donut. We can make a donut that has sprinkles.
Let's
all
do
over.
it. Let's do it.
Boom. Not a whole lot left in that.
Man, I love this
still
pick
have
so
one.
much.
I still have one unopened. So
I've got, so when we moved and we were in between houses, if you remember the Timbip lore, or at least the Perry lore of it all, I broke my foot that July 4th, and we were moving the week after.
freaking boot forever.
And I was unable to pack up my whiskey. And so everything was very scattered in my collection.
I even packed stuff up for you. I came over to your place and unpacked your car.
That's right. Yeah, you did. You
Yeah.
moved like the heaviest box out of everything. And it was like I had one Glencairn that I could find at one point. And there was, a bottle of Lawrenceburg Bourbon Company that I could find. And, I had like 3, I think. But the one that was open, I couldn't find anywhere. So I had an unopened one that was closer by. And
like,
me being on a broken foot, I was like, well, I want a drink and I'm going to just open this one. So I've got like all of my bottles open in various states of,
right.
fill.
It's like, yeah, I've got a case of them. They're all open and just randomly. Normally people are like, I just keep a couple extra bottles of this pick I had. No, not you.
No.
All right. Cheers to this beautiful donut. This is so good, man. It's just the best glaze.
I've been on a diet too. And I think it just ruined everything.
Oh, bro.
That's crazy.
Those are just the best donuts.
I'm going to need to get a protein shake after this.
It's almost like if you've ever had a glazed donut, a glazed yeast donut that like almost like the outer shell has got a little crunch to it, but then when you get to the middle, it's like airy soft. It's like the best version of that.
It is an elevated Krispy Kreme donut.
Yeah, it's if Krispy Kreme was a freaking like Jeff Ruby's restaurant. Now smell that though. Think of that glaze with like all the fruit you get in that thing. Oh, that's delicious.
That's crazy.
Oh,
I see the vision.
yes. See?
I see the vision. All right, I can't wait.
Pour over.
The king reigns supreme.
Telling you. Did I just eat your donut?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Oh my God.
Did you pour over my donut?
Oh.
And then you took a bite off of it?
Mhm.
Okay, that's fine. Like I said, diet.
Took one bite. You can have a bite of my donut. There. And this is not around anymore.
No.
This company's not even around anymore. It's a different name.
Yeah.
First pick ever.
First book ever from this now defunct company.
And see what happens when Timbip does your first pick?
We run it into the ground.
You have to change your name.
Greg is going to be on the show again soon, by the way. So stick around for
You
that,
better.
please. They've got all new facility. It's beautiful. I cannot wait to have him back.
I want to ask him, did he know he was texting me about a new product while I was at Disney one time?
We've been meaning to get him on the show, and it's just...
Him and his little mustache now.
He's got a great-looking mustache.
Mm-hmm. Great mustache. Did a fun little reel the other day.
He's killing it, dude. This was an awesome pairing.
It really
All
was.
that, like, dark chocolate that's been brought out, just excellent. I'm happy. I'm in a happy place right now.
Good.
What you been drinking recently?
So, what have I been drinking? I, in preparation for Matt Madness, which, who knows how it's going to go at this point. You all know. I don't. I tried to keep it simple. When I had a pour this week, I had a couple of pours throughout the week. I would pick something that was like a basic version of a certain distillery. So I could kind of get back in that mode of like, okay, so I've had regular Buffalo Trace. I had a 1792 bottled in bond. I had just some Turkey 101. I had a Henry McKenna 100 proof, just a 100 proof like Heaven Hill product. I tried to just go to those normal. I know McKenna's not your normal one, but it's quintessential Heaven Hill at 100 proof. I tried not to go too high proof on too many things this week, just to kind of stay around that 90 to 100 proof. And I will tell you, I still... What?
You don't know what you're doing?
No. I still don't know what I'm doing. But I still love 1792 bottled in bond so much, man. I don't know what it is about that bottle. It shouldn't be that good. It's 100 proof Barton. I don't know. It is just, when you compare it to a lot of those other things, like, and I don't think I've done that in a while, it stands out like above everything. There is just this like banana-y, like there's a Brown-Forman Jack Daniel's banana and there's a Barton banana, and it's completely different. And if you understand what I'm saying, you get it. But I don't know. I need more 1792 bottled in bond.
It's so weird that I feel like it's not A, talked about that much, and B, not something that is as noticeable on the shelf.
No.
Okay, well, maybe that's it. Maybe it's because it's not on the shelf that much.
It really isn't. Like, you see a random drop of it, and then not hardly anybody does picks.
That's weird.
Because everybody does foolproof picks.
Yeah.
But back in the day, which now is like COVID and like 2018, which sounds weird if I'm saying back in the day.
I hate that.
But people did picks of bottled and bond, probably more than foolproof picks.
I graduated college in 2018.
Back in the day. So, I don't know. I think
After 7 long years of college.
I always come back to 1792 bottle and bond and just love that bottle so much. And it's a cool reminder when you compare it to all these other things that are around the same age, proof, and from other places. And you're like, man, this thing really stands out. Nice. So, yeah, I've kept it kind of simple, trying to get ready for Matt Madness.
I hope it paid off. Fuck! This past Saturday was Derby.
It was.
You didn't do anything.
I just prayed for the horses because it was rainy.
It
and
was
nasty.
Gross in Louisville. It was disgusting. It was pretty gross in Lexington as well.
Yeah.
I bounced between a couple of different places. The first one was my brother's house, my brother and his wife's house.
Happy birthday to the little guy.
To little Mason.
Yeah.
Which I think we briefly touched on last week. He's 1 now. He's walking around some too, which is super cool. He walked over to me last week.
Walked over to your house? Like he was like,
yeah, it was crazy.
What, Dad? I'm going to Uncle Perry's.
He got on the highway and
screw you. I'm going to Uncle Perry's. Just walk there.
My mom was sitting with him and she goes, "Who's that? Is that Uncle Perry?" And he goes, "Pa pa 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 pa." It was great.
He called you Dad?
Yeah, I'm Dad now.
Is there something?
You don't need to know anything.
Okay, sorry I asked.
No. The funny thing was, though, that Dane and Lindsay were not there because they were going to see Kendrick in North Carolina. Sarah was babysitting Mason. So we were like, we'll just have a little derby party.
Everybody there. We're crashing the place.
So I made Mom and Dad mint juleps.
Nice.
I make really good mint juleps. I'm gonna pat myself.
Fan of mint juleps.
You'll like my mint juleps.
Why? Tell me.
I make a mint simple syrup.
Okay.
So it cuts some of the sugariness. I also use brown sugar instead of regular white sugar. So it's not as like harsh of a flavor. A lot of people who make juleps don't use bitters. I do because it is a julep is in the old fashioned family.
Yeah.
And to me, it needs to be made with that. And I also don't go like super high proof either. I typically keep it in like a 90 to 100 range so that flavors don't lose. Like if you go like 80 as well, you're losing a lot of like the bourbon influence, and you're really hitting a lot of those sweeter flavors too. So what you run into with a lot of people who are making mint juleps is you're creating a lot of imbalance. So to me, it's less about, you know, the mint influence and less about the sugar influence, and more about just creating like harmony between all of the flavors.
Interesting.
So when I go into it, I try to make everything a very cohesive experience. So
What bourbon did you use?
I used Buffalo Trace.
What about Woodford?
Too rich for my blood.
They're the sponsor.
I know. I didn't have any any Woodford on hand
Why?
because it wasn't there, dude. Dad had a handle of Buffalo Trace.
What about Maker's Mark?
They have nothing to do with it. What are you talking about?
Why didn't you use Maker's Mark?
What is this? What
Your
is this
dad
one?
loves Maker's Mark.
He also loves Buffalo Trace.
He loves Maker's Mark more. You couldn't have made him a Maker's Mark mint julep?
He didn't bring any to Dane and Lindsay's house.
You couldn't have gave him an MMJ? Maker's Mark mint julep?
That's a really fun abbreviation. I like that. No, I made him a BTMJ. I gave him TMJ.
Your dad?
Anyway, beside the point. I also really like to make mint Keeneland Breezes
Oh, yeah.
as well, which I think I made for us last year too, for Derby. So that was fun. And then I will do this during Pour Me, Pour You. Picked up this bottle of New Riff.
How long has it been since you've had a bottle of New Riff? Like for yourself?
Since last year when I got that one from Jackson's. That was their pick, and we'll talk about why it's a little bit.
I got 2 New Riff bottles that I haven't seen in a while.
Wonder who's holding them hostage. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. We'll find out. Very excited to be welcoming to the show for a conversation about the IWSC. Ms. Bridget Alpert, who is a cocktail extraordinaire, podcaster as well, and author too, right? You've written a book here or there.
I've written books, yeah, and I've written forwards to a bunch of cocktail books as well.
Hey everyone, this is Chris from the Financial Philosophers Podcast, and I'd like to invite you to come check out our show. We explore the nuances of personal finance on topics that are both simple and complex. Rather than regurgitating the same financial rules of thumb you've heard over and over again, we do a deep dive with real-life examples about compelling and relatable financial topics. I guarantee you will walk away with something new you didn't know before. Come nerd out with us, and let's take this financial journey together.
Bridget, thank you so much for joining me. I'm very excited to chat with you leading up to the IWSC, as it were.
For sure. You know, Perry, thank you for having me on your show. I'm really happy to be here.
Of course. Thank you again. I wanted to get your perspective before we dive in too far into kind of the ins and outs of the competition. Really just because, you know, there have been so many shifts in the general direction of the spirits world recently. I wanted to get your general view on, you know, how you feel like this landscape has changed and what kind of impact do you think that's going to have on the competition this year as well?
Well, you know what? I really love this question. What a whirlwind this past year in the spirits industry has been. So, you know, let's start with maybe some of the big changes. You know, this year, definitely have noticed, and I'm going to be very specific to spirit categories. That's cool. I definitely have noticed an evolution on the American whiskey scene, which is, to me, really, really exciting, whether we're talking about bourbons, the whole single malt from America explosion that came out of like Texas, and now it's everywhere, which is super cool. But we're really seeing like a gorgeous balance between tradition and I think some experimentation as well. So whether we're talking about maybe some heirloom grains, like, I don't know, we're always talking about like unique barrel finishes. I don't think we'll ever get away with that, like from that. And I hope that we never do, because I love them so much. And then I do feel like a lot of the really small producers are absolutely nailing it right now with quality, which is, to me, really exciting. I would also like to talk about RTDs, if you're not scared.
Yes.
Talk about
No,
the
I'm not at all,
RTD.
because that's been one of the major shifts that we've seen, and I think is absolutely something that needs to be talked about. So please.
Yeah, I mean, it's just another wow. I mean, the category itself has just continued to mature just so freaking fast, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's gone from like this sugary, I don't know, like convenience, let's say, to something that's like just really seriously more crafted. And there's so many of these low ABV options that, are available now for folks who still want to be part of the conversation, part of the gathering, which I think is super cool. The quality is way better, as well as the base spirits that are being used. Seen a ton of some weird, flavor combos, some clever ones as well. But I think that a lot of them really appeal to either, like the cocktail, let's say like newbies, and to maybe into some like seasonal palates like myself and yourself. So I think there's something for everyone in this category. To me, that makes it just really exciting.
What's been the most exciting innovation for you as far as the field of RTDs? Because I saw the other day, even just the introduction of a THC infused. Was that where you were going to go with it?
I drink them. I freaking love them.
Oh, do you?
Yes, I love the THC. Bring me all the THC. I love it. I love it as much as I love bourbon and all the other stuff, but I have a little special spot in my heart for that. I love it because I don't feel hungover the next day. I can drink one. The ones that I like taste like bong water. I don't like all the sugary stuff so much, but if it tastes more like the flower, I'm totally in. But I think that category has so much growth still. It has a long way to go, and it's still so much like the wild, wild west out there with it.
Sure.
We haven't totally nailed down on how to educate around it and what its personality of the category is really going to be. But I'm excited.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I've had so much fun exploring some of these more like what feels like a truly elevated version of, the RTDs. I'm really also personally very excited for what's coming next. But I also wanted to give people a chance to see a little bit more behind the scenes, and we're going to get the chance too when the competition's going on as well, to get to show our audience exactly how the judging process takes place. And we're very excited for that, but I wanted to give everybody the opportunity to kind of hear from you, one of the judges, a little bit more about what your judging process looks like, and even some of the tasting process too is, and also, how it varies between different spirits and different products that you're presented with. Sure.
Well, I mean, that's a really great question. Thank you for that, Perry. The judging process at the WSC, it's incredibly rigorous. And honestly, when it's like that, it makes the awards mean so much more, right? We're not being rushed through anything. We taste completely blind, which I think is really important for your listeners to know. So there's really no bias to be had. and you're judging really solely on that spirit's category or character, right? And how it shows up in its category. So, its complexity, is it balanced, and your overall really impression of the spirit. And it's really interesting because a lot of times if you can't decide, and I have experienced this in several spirit awards that I currently judge on, you can always like, hey, let's take a time out and maybe have someone from another table come on over and let's taste this together to get second opinions and third opinions, if that's needed, if there's any questions at all. But it truly is only the best are the ones that really do get rewarded. So I think that's cool. And then the breakdown for the awards, you can get a bronze, and that's still a very good award. I mean, hey, if you walk away with any award from this competition, you should be really proud of yourself. That's what I think. And the bronze is like a recognition of, let's say, like quality, right? You've made it into the category, even if you're not at like those top levels. And then silver is just that next really good level of quality. Gold, obviously, high level, indicating really some excellence in that glass. And then the gold outstanding, which is really, really hard to get. Boy, oh boy. It's the highest awards, especially for spirits. So, boy, that one has to be absolutely exceptional.
Definitely. As far as like some of these exceptional products that you find too throughout the competition, does anything wind up sticking with you to the point where you make maybe a mental note or even like physically write something down and go, I think I want to take this home with me, or maybe not take it home with you, but like, find it at, your Total Wine later on down the road?
Oh, 100%. Absolutely. I mean, yeah, we also do this stuff because it's fun and it's delicious. So, yeah.
What a great job. Yeah, of course.
It's a great way to learn and to be educated, right, as a taster. So, yes. And I do find things that are just really great products. I end up scribbling down, maybe in my notebook, like must buy later, put little notes by to ask about after the competition's over and everything has been announced. But it's, even though we're blind tasting, sometimes a product, it just really like speaks to you with its finesse and its creativity. And when the names are revealed later, it's like uncovering this really cool treasure. And usually those glasses are the ones that I will put aside and be like, can I hang on to this? So when we're done, I can just sip on it. And that's, a lot of times it's allowed.
That's fun.
It's really cool, right? Be like, I want everybody in this room to try this thing that I am now in love with. And that happens.
I imagine too, as somebody who is a cocktail creator, that you have to shut off that part of your brain which is, constantly kind of working through like, oh, what could I do with this? What would be a great application for, this, even in a small capacity, too, with, this spirit. I mean, where does your brain kind of go in those scenarios as well?
I have to turn her off totally, man. I mean, because that's not the job at hand. I'm not talking about the RTDs now. I'm really talking about the spirits and if they're a great representation for the category, right? Is this something that I would be proud to order, that I would suggest to friends, that really belongs on a cocktail menu? And some of them, I do entertain, like, how would I maybe use this in a cocktail? But a lot of times, some of them I wouldn't. It would just be, a wonderful sipper. But my head's always like creating cocktail names and, oh man, this would go so good with this or this syrup. Like, my husband hates going out with me, like, to bars and restaurants. It's like our least, we would rather cook at home because I either criticizing or like, this is so cool. Usually it's like, this is so cool. Look what they have in this menu. Let's try and make it at home. And it never stops.
I get that. I totally get that. My wife and I are 100%. We're the same way. It's like, if anywhere we go where we find a cocktail that we like, it's how can we recreate this at home? 100% of the way.
Yeah.
With that in mind, though, I mean, even to the point of like shutting your brain off, I mean, do you have to kind of psych yourself up for that in some way? Like, or does that fall under like a pressure category that you might feel, or do do you kind of ramp yourself up with like even just a feeling of excitement, you know, as you get there before these types of competitions?
I mean, I'm excited now, and I'm not judging this until June. So, I mean, yeah, like I get really, really excited before the competition, you know, the night before, the week before. I'm definitely doing my homework, meaning, you know, just brushing up on categories. I want to come in with a solid, clean palette and make sure that my mind is sharp. I owe it absolutely to the competition, and then to the folks that enter. They're pretty much entering their babies, you know, that they put maybe their hard or all their whole life savings into. So I take it very seriously, and I definitely feel like there's this mix of pressure, but then balanced maybe with some excitement, and then the responsibility just to do right by the producers who've just put their heart and soul into the product. But it's also like this absolute joy that I always feel to sit among passionate experts and get to taste, you know, what the industry has to offer at its best. And I really learned something from everybody that's at my table or the other tables. And that's what kind of excites me the most. It's such a great learning opportunity.
I mean, they're thinking about too, just the prestigiousness that even if it's not, you know, on the out from the outside looking in, with something like the IWSC, you still, you know, I imagine feel some kind of like, oh, this is really like the top bill for, you know, spirits competitions, you know, and the IWSC in and of itself, people really do look to it as like something that you are going to anticipate as the creme de la creme for, you know, when people are asking, well, is it well respected, you know?
Yeah.
And so like I would imagine that there would be a little bit of pressure there personally.
Just a little bit. But I think, again, like if you go in with a clear head and your palate's ready and you keep your palate ready right throughout the experience, I'm not someone who will go out, you know, all night long. You know, I will attend all the dinners and go to the bar with everybody. You know, it's super fun to create community and friendships with the judges. But I do really try very hard to keep my mind very clean, my palate clean, so I'm ready to rock and roll when I'm sitting at the table with the judges.
That's awesome. Thinking about, you know, just the preparedness, it's good to know at least that, you know, everybody, or at least one of the judges there is very cognizant of.
I think most everybody is, if not everybody. We all want to show up and give it our best, right? I mean,
I trust you.
So much is at stake. It's, you know, how could you not? And you only get to do this once a year if you're invited. So it's such an honor and a privilege.
Absolutely. So with that in mind too, do you find yourself walking away with this having learned something, or like feeling any sort of like regret, or like that you could have done something differently in any given scenario? Or, you know, what big, you know, lesson have you taken away in any given spirits competition, or specifically, you know, with IWSC in the past?
I mean, sure. I've been judging spirit competitions for over 20 years. So for a really long time. And
you've probably learned a few things then.
Yeah. And most years, you know, I judge, you know, anywhere from 5 to 6 different notable competitions. And so with that said, with that comes a whole lot of wisdom. And so, you know, in retrospect, do I ever feel like I could have done something differently? Well, honestly, sure. I mean, I'm human sometimes. Sometimes tasting fatigue is real, right? It's a real thing. And maybe a note you picked up earlier in the day seems less accurate when you revisit it. But that's really part of the learning curve that comes with years and years and years of experience, you know, being a judge for spirit competitions. But, you know, at the IWSC IWSC, I think that they do an exceptional job of encouraging the openness, the discussion, and a really thoughtful evaluation. So it's not about ego, right? So if you are having palate fatigue, you can raise your hand. Nobody's going to judge you. Nobody gives a crap. Like, okay, cool. Look, sit out for this round. It's fine. Go take care of yourself. It's good. It's good that you have that really kind of a safe judging environment, because at the end of the day, it really is all about excellence and, hopefully finding those gems and giving out the right awards.
Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm. What's the category that you look forward to most each year?
It changes every year. It changes every year. Oh my God. What a good
All right, what are you most looking forward to this year then?
I love bourbons. I love rye. Come on. I love all that good stuff. If it's brown and delicious, I would like to have some, right? I just think that, we're in Kentucky or on the Bourbon Trail. And yes to all the bourbons. I love the bourbons. But I also enjoy the RTDs because just going back to that, because
makes sense.
I'm one of those judges, like, give those babies to me. I'm good because first of all, they're refreshing, right?
100%.
And I can use my cocktail expertise a lot of times. To me, that's really exciting when evaluating and, seeing like, is this really a mojito or is it a daiquiri?
For sure.
Like, what were you trying to do here? I don't taste any passion fruit. And there's passion fruit on it. Like, it's so fun. It gets so nerdy. Like, you wouldn't believe it. Even with that category, you could totally geek out. I love it.
Definitely. Yeah. Well, Bridget, thank you so much again for stopping by for a little bit and chatting about your expertise. And I look forward to seeing you in June as well. Where can people find you? What would you like to plug too before we let you go?
Sure. People can find me. Well, you can find my podcast on Instagram, which is called Served Up. And then you can find me personally as well on Instagram on Bridget Albert. So, check me out. I'm not the best at social media. I'm trying to get better. It's not my favorite. I'm more of like a person-to-person kind of a person.
I get it.
But yeah, you can totally check me out there. Drop me a line. And I can't wait to hang out with you in Kentucky really soon, Perry. I think it's going to be just a hoot. It's going to be fun.
It's going to be awesome. Bridget Albert, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers. Folks, I am very excited to now be welcoming Dawn Davies to the show, who is leading the IWSC in the judging this year. First of all, Dawn, I just want to say thank you so much for being on. You are not only an incredibly busy person, you're also overseas. So the scheduling for this was a little bit wonky, but once we realized that we had to, adjust to the fact that we were not in the same time zone, it worked out. But
I mean, the crazy thing is that I was actually in America last week. So we really messed this up. I mean, it couldn't be more.
And you're wearing. We were talking about this right before we started, but you're also wearing a Mellow Corn Bottle and Bond shirt, which is just one of the absolute best things in the world. I have such a soft spot in my heart for Mellow Corn too.
I think and anyone that has ever worked in a bar or
100%. I wanted to kick things off just by asking you about one of the most important things with the IWSC, and that's the I part here, international. It's the International Wine and Spirits Competition. Not only are you focusing on what is the largest swath of spirits and alcohol beverages in the entire world, you're bringing the competition back to Kentucky. Mm-hmm. First of all, what encouraged you all to bring it to Bardstown, the heart of bourbon production? But also, what does what do the stakes of the IWSC mean to you? And what does that pressure kind of feel like internally?
It's a lot of good questions, actually. For me, I mean, you've said it. Bardstown is the heart of bourbon. And, I have now been back 2 times. I'm going back in June. It is just an amazing place to be. I always say you don't understand liquid until you visited the place where it's actually made. And yeah, we have Louisville, we have Franklin, you have places all around. But I mean, really, Bardstown, I think for me, is where you're actually in the heart of it, because there's so many distilleries around you. And, and I think it really, you go into Volstead in Bardstown in the bar, and there's like 5,000 bourbons, and you can have a bourbon peach slushy, which is one of my favorite things at the bar to do. But, I think it's that kind of thing. You turn around and there's so many distilleries just on your doorstep. And I think that's really, really important, especially, I think for us at the IWSC and for me and the team that are coming from the UK, I think, yes, we have incredible American judges, but I think we really need to, bring that experience to the UK judge as well, so they have a bit of a sense of what they're tasting at the same time. We're all professionals, we all know what we're doing, but yet I think there's nothing better than really tasting in the place where it's made. And I think the IWC have been really sort of groundbreaking in that perspective. They started it with wine, and they're doing it in quite a few countries now for the wine judging. And, hopefully with spirits, we'll see the same thing. And I think, for such a long time, London's been the kind of heartland of the IWSC and what we do. And I think it's still really important because, we have a very thriving whiskey community in the UK.
Of course.
We have some small distilleries up the road. But
yeah.
I think, just having that one local knowledge and local understanding in the form of the US judges, who are all fantastic. I mean, I know you interviewed Bridget not long ago.
I did, yeah.
And who's amazing. I absolutely adore her. And, it's people like that. And I think these connections as well, that it's really important. You bring 2 communities, 2 cultures together. And there's, I know from the last time, we all went home best friends. And, that connection, I think, is really, really vital to kind of talking about, we become your ambassadors in the UK for
Absolutely.
American whiskey. And I think that's hugely important. At the same time, I think people don't think about it like that. I think, oh, we're coming over from the UK and we're just there to tell you what bourbon tastes like. That's absolutely not it. It's to have consistency across the judging, which for me is absolutely vital. It was one of the things that I said as kind of a head judge, is that I just really felt the consistency between the judging in the UK and the US had to be the same, which is why we have UK and US panelists. And actually we have people from the US that come over to the UK as well. So, but, that's super important. And I'm probably the most exacting person on the planet when it comes to judging, because actually I really feel that I think you have to have real credibility in what you're doing. And, everything that we were doing in the IWC to make this competition better and better each year is all about the credibility of how we're judging, why we're judging it, and why we're giving these awards, because they do mean something. And, for me, I'm putting my name to it as much as IWC is putting their name to it. And that's really fundamental to how I think that, we need to kind of move the judging process forward, because, you can only get better, and you can only do it better, and you can only be fairer, and you can only really kind of hone that skill set down on how to judge, because it is a skill set. And I think it's really important to have it right. And, I think that's for me, what's really, really important about doing the judging in America, but also judging full stop.
So with the way that the alcohol industry has changed so drastically, not just over the past year, but especially with the way that people's spending habits have changed. The big number that we keep seeing is how during the pandemic, there was that $1 billion surplus that people spent, and then all of a sudden we leveled out to this projection, right? Of where people thought we were going to be spending in 2025, 2026, essentially. There's been this, expectation that people think that the alcohol industry is slowing down, or it's moving in a direction that's, degrowth almost, right? where do you all find like that responsibility now to be with alcohol competitions or excuse me, judging, really, do you feel like people have less of a resistance to, medals, or are they, kind of, because I feel like, 10 years ago, they saw a gold medal and they were like, oh, I'm going to pick this up now, because they were, less educated about what was going into the bottle. But now people are like, I'm going to find out everything I can about what's going into this bottle.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely 100% right. And, and I think, that bubble was going to burst. The money tree was flowing, everyone's having a good time. And we knew that, looking at it, that I knew the whole kind of peak of the whiskey industry was going to burst. And you know what we need to go out and do now? We need to go out and sell. And we've forgotten how to sell. And, it's so freaking vital to literally pound the pavements, talk to people about the liquid, really get out there and be like, this stuff, there's a reason you drink. You can drink in moderation, you can drink responsibly, but this is things that is made, it's crafted. And one of the biggest things that I took away from when I was in Kentucky this trip, and we took some journalists over there, was that, it doesn't matter if you're Jim Beam or Buffalo and you're producing thousands and thousands of bottles, or you're Peerless or New Riff and you're producing a very small amount, you're equally valid in what you're doing. And the quality of liquid, I think, coming out of the US is absolutely fantastic from big and small. And I do think there is still a place for trophies and medals and things. I do think that there's probably a surplus of awards out there right now. I won't lie to you. I think
I think that's fair. I think that's completely fair. Yeah.
I do think that you have to, as a consumer, really understand who the judges are that are judging these spirits. What are their qualifications? What is in the lineup on the judging? I think there's so many things that we probably have to educate a consumer really well on. And, that is partly the IWSC's job, partly mine and my judges that have to communicate. We are super rigorous. I really hold us up as the best competition out there in spirits in terms of rigor of judging. And I would challenge anyone if they say anything different, because I know, because I see what other people are doing. And that's not to say I think other competitions are bad. There are some very, very good ones. And, there are probably some that are less rigorous. But I know we are the most rigorous. And I do think, the consumer still wants cues. They still, yes, they have more knowledge. Yes, they were willing to research. But one of the biggest factors in people's decisions to purchase is a recommendation. And that could be a recommendation from a friend. It could be a recommendation from some cue on the bottle, e.g. a medal. A review. I think, we still take cues from what we're looking at. And and I think, so there is a huge amount of validity to these competitions still. I just think the consumer has to be really clear on, who's judging it, what their criteria are and how rigorous they are and what the lineup is, because it's very easy to get a gold when there's 7 people in a competition. It's much harder when there's 300, and I think it's much harder when it's Dr. Bill Lumsden from Glenmorangie judging or Richard Pattison from Dalmore judging than just some person that hasn't had the experience that they have. And I'm not saying that you have to be a master distiller or anything to judge. I'm just saying it's about experience. It's about understanding the liquid. It's really understanding the category as well, which is absolutely vital, in terms of I can't judge something that I don't have an understanding of. That's not right.
So, and that kind of leads into my next question too, which is, and you've already kind of, described a little bit of that, but what is some of your, criteria that you look for with some of the folks who you want as judges for the IWSC?
Oh, absolutely. It's fundamental. I want someone that has a great palate. That's first and foremost. You can have very little experience, but you can have an amazing palate. I am looking for someone that understands the liquid from a perspective of different points of view. So I want a distiller to look at it from a technical perspective. I want a bartender to look at it from a mixability or drinkability perspective. I want a retailer or someone that's selling to the consumer direct to be able to look at it and say, actually, is that valid as a product to drink? You know, is that customer, when they open that bottle and have a taste of it, going to understand that bottle? And, you know, and I think even from a journalistic perspective, you know, to have people like journalists is also great because, again, you know, that they know what they're looking at. They're looking at the broader context. I also want people that know the category. So, you know, when we look at our judges, if you look at all the judges that we have in the lineup at the moment, they're either complete bourbon fanatics or, you know, like they're people that really understand the whiskey category full stop. Because actually, the one thing I think is really important to me as well is it shouldn't just be looking at it from a bourbon perspective. It should be looking at it from a whiskey perspective, because at the end of the day, that's what we're judging. We're judging whiskey. It doesn't matter if it's bourbon or Japanese or like Irish or whatever. At the end of the day, it has to stand up against its peers in different sectors of the whiskey. So I'm also looking at it from that perspective. And, you know, I'm really, you know, I'll say if I think a judge is being too harsh or they're not being harsh enough or, you know, they're out of sync, I haven't got a problem going up and coaching and teaching and, you know, or kicking them out. Just kidding.
I love the idea of having alternates just waiting in the wings, you know, ready for somebody who's like, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Actually, I really like that idea. No joke.
I mean, it could be. You never know. Somebody, you know, pulls a hammy or something, and they've got to be, you know, taken out on a stretcher. I asked Dawn, or excuse me, you're Dawn. I asked Bridget this question, and I'm curious, you know, just getting somebody else's perspective as well. I would love to give our audience the chance to hear about your judging process as well, and I know that you know there's always just the very simple, like, you know, a lot of people will go through the whole process of like actually tasting it, and some people will, you know, taste a little bit and then, you know, they'll have their spit buckets and everything. But of course, you know, you're tasting through hundreds of spirits, so you're not going to like actually taste through everything. But I'm just genuinely curious, you know, what your tasting, your judging process looks like.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And I think I'll probably give it to you a bit of a twofold answer. I'll give you my answer as a person that just tastes and assesses on a daily basis. And I'll give you my answer as the trophy judge, because I'm doing something slightly different than the rest of the judges. For me, there's one rule and one rule only. It's got to taste good and it's got to be in balance. So it's balance, length, intensity, and complexity of the liquid. It has to be representative of the category it's in. So I'll pick up, I'll smell, I'll assess from a you know, complexity point of view. You know, what am I tasting? Am I excited by it? You know, does it kind of get my juices going? When I taste, I have to spit, otherwise I'd be on the floor after about 5 seconds.
Of course,
we are tasting about 60 products a day, and they're not shy and retiring. A lot of those bourbons, and I'll look at it from quite a few different perspectives, actually. You know, as I said, I'll look at the balance of the product. You know, is the alcohol spiky? Is the alcohol really in balance? Is, you know, are the flavors really harmonious? Is the wood overpowering? Is the fruit, you know, working with the wood? I'll look at it from the perspective of how long it tastes, you know, how long it lasts on my palate, because often that's a sign of quality. And when I'm talking to customers, I always say, when you want to understand how to understand quality in a product, it's literally, how much do you think about that product? How much does it call you back to it? How much do you kind of think, oh, hold on, I smelt this, and then I tried, and then I got this, and then something else appeared, and, you know, and you build up this exciting picture, and you're like, yeah, I love this. And then I have one last thing, which is something I always tell the judges. I want a product that I don't just want a glass of, and then my palate's absolutely knackered. So, you know, if we look at things like Robert Parker wines, I don't want a Parker whiskey. I actually want something that I go back to and drink the bottle of, because at the end of the day, I need you to buy more bottles, because I'm out of a job if you don't buy more bottles.
Absolutely.
So if you just have one glass, that's not right. So I'm of the rule of, like, I want that to be drinkable. And that's super important. And we had one product last year, and the liquid, the palate was great. It was, and then the ABV was so high. I was just like, that's not going further, because it's not something someone's going to drink. Like,
Right.
they'll have one glass and they'll be exhausted. I mean, I was exhausted and I had a sip, so it's things like that that are so fundamental from a perspective of actually physically assessing and analyzing. Yes, okay, I'm looking for faults. I'm looking for, how good the product is, but also you're looking at it from a price perspective. Does that, if in your head, deliver a value? And we don't really look at price so much IWSC, but I do kind of always have it in the back of my head. So I think there's quite a lot of things, and you've got to think of it. If it's in the rye category and I taste all rye, I mean, I'm going to be like, well, maybe
completely fair.
And we are really, really fair on things like that. So if we do taste something that doesn't feel like it's in the right category, we do ask the guys that are working behind the scenes to actually check the label, check the details, to make sure it is in the right category. And if it's not in the right category, we judge it as the category it should be and we move it. So we are really fair like that. From a perspective of the trophy chair, what my job is to do is to make sure all the panels are judging in a correct way, in terms of, are there people that are scoring very high or very, very low? Is there real kind of disparity on a product where, maybe two people are like gold and one's out? I'm looking at all those things. So my job is literally, if I see that, either to go and taste the liquid to assess where that is going wrong. I also assess all the golds, and I usually go through every flight and just pick out ones that are either maybe out or kind of top end sort of high silvers, and just sensor check that I feel the judges are doing right. So I'm kind of the last line of defense is probably the best way of describing.
Sure. How often are you switching products around into different categories?
Not often. I mean, the guys at IWC do a fantastic job at really kind of qualifying things, but it's like anything. Sometimes things skip through, and it's normally because the producers inputted the information incorrectly. So actually 90% of the time they're like, yeah, this is a gin. You've put it in the whiskey category.
Right. Copy and pasted too many times. Yeah. I mean, it happens. Anything that becomes monotonous, of course, is going to wind up being.
No, and it's normally the producers have filled something in wrong, or they've ticked the wrong box. And, I get it, because, like, you might think in your head that you're entering the right category and you've actually just missed another category. And the guys are really, really excellent at checking stuff. The team at IWSC are fantastic. Sure. But yeah, there's always a couple that sneak through.
Inevitably, I'm sure. Yeah. I'm sure. What I think this is a fairly good note to kind of end on. But what category are you most excited for this year?
I am all over American single malt. It's a category that I am really hugely excited for, because I think it could be the gateway, like whiskey, for the non-American whiskey drinker, the non-bourbon drinker, to get into the American category. Because I think it's, and there's so much variation. Oh, I mean, a huge bourbon fan, of course, but I'm very lucky. I taste a lot of kind of bourbons and things like that.
Yeah, so, I love American single malt. I love single malts just in general too. Yeah. I mean, I have no problem with that answer. I think that's extremely exciting too.
Yeah, no, it's definitely my one to kind of go after, and I've been a big proponent of the American single malt. We import quite a few in the UK through the Whiskey Exchange. So yeah, I'm a huge fan. So I'm excited to see what hits the lineup this year.
Definitely. Don, thank you so much for everything. I cannot wait to see you in a few weeks as well.
It's a pleasure.
I hope everybody's excited too for the IWSC this year. It's going to be great. But
I'm always excited. I'm excited about everything. So
of course. Cheers. Thank you so much. All right, folks. Moving on to.
That was a great interview, by the way.
Thank you.
I enjoyed that.
I appreciate that. I hope you all enjoyed it as well. And thank you to Bridget and Don for spending some time with me talking about the IWSC. And like I said, we're going to be there when it hits Bardstown in a couple of weeks. So you know what it means when we go to Bardstown.
What happens in Bardstown stays in Bardstown.
I thought we were going to go to like Heaven Hill and Bardstown Bourbon Company.
No, because they're just going to put a sign out that says no products today.
Yeah, you're probably
Leave us alone. No, we're going to go get an exiled sandwich from Willett. That's what we're going to do.
Oh.
So don't even think about anything else. Might as well go ahead and make us a reservation.
All right. Yeah, we're also going to gonna eat at Willett.
Yeah.
too. So
Let's go.
but we're gonna. What is Speakeasy?
That's another one of their bottles.
I don't think I've ever seen that before.
I think it was just in the gift shop.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're gonna do pour me, pour you.
I'm poor. That's for sure.
Well, it's a good thing we're going to Willett.
Yeah. I'm saving my money. I know what I'm doing when I go to Willett.
And Eric poured me a little bit on Patreon, so I'm pouring him now on the main episode
That smells good.
of this new riff bottle that I was talking about earlier on. That
Is this a pick?
no,
Oh,
this is just a regular old single barrel
just on the shelf single barrel.
on the shelf. Got it at Kroger Wine and Spirits.
It's got a pancakey nose.
Yeah, Mr. Mutant.
Yes.
Since you're not a doctor yet.
Fuck. One day. All right. Yes,
That was Patreon discussion. Sorry.
Yes.
Of course, this is non-age stated, other than saying it's at least 4 years old.
Right.
I just want to know from you what you think the proof is on
Okay.
this.
I'm going to give you two proof guesses.
Okay.
Nose only.
All right.
Palate only.
All right.
On the nose, I think this is around 115.
You can just stop right there. It's 115.4.
Yeah, I would have went right in the middle because it's definitely, you can tell it's higher than 110. It's definitely not hitting that. We've seen these at close to 120 before. Have we had a 120?
I don't think I have.
But we've had like 118. Like we've had some that are like,
I don't remember having 118.
we have. I know we have.
Okay.
Yeah. So right, yeah, 115.
Yeah, 115.4.
Nice.
This is really good. And it's done nothing but open up since I got it. Very caramel, very molasses,
Got it
very
Kroger,
just,
so-
yeah, just dark.
Man, that's good.
Yeah.
I love that. No.
Not very typical, I feel like, for a new riff single barrel.
It's a lot darker and complex. I'm not saying they don't have complex single barrels, but I feel like when you get a new riff, you know you're getting like kind of like above average whiskey, but not like that. I'm leaning towards like a barrel proof, like 10-year style thing.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, this just tastes like it's, way older than 4 years.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you remember when we did the new riff pick for the podcast, and they walked us through like the way that different barrels from different cooperages tasted?
Mm-hmm.
For whatever reason, this doesn't taste like an independent stave barrel did.
It doesn't taste like their normal stuff.
Okay, so I'm not crazy.
Mm-mm.
But I also don't remember them saying that the independent stave stuff was this high proof either. Whatever the other cooperage was, I think was the higher proof of it all.
I mean,
I can't remember specifically, but I think this is one of those.
I mean, I think you're on to something because it's definitely not in that same line of like the stuff we picked or like other things that we've had.
Yeah.
There's something different about this.
Yeah.
There's something different that makes it a little higher proof. I mean, I think 113's
113 is the sweet spot for me. I've said it before.
I'm pretty sure we've had like a 118. Maybe I'm crazy, but
I don't remember, but that doesn't mean you're wrong.
115 is still on the higher scale of new riff. And it tastes obviously higher proof and it tastes older than a normal one. So you're on to something. Something's different.
I remember 116.
We're going to get to the bottom of this.
I remember 116.
I swear I think we had a 118.
There's a good chance. Actually, you know what? The more that I think about it, and
we've
I think
had
of
one that we're like 118.
Yeah. I think you might be right now that I really, really think about it. I could be misremembering it. I'm not saying that I am, but there's a good chance. We've had a lot of whiskey on the show over the past 7.5 years.
Just
so
a few.
Here and there. We do not have any barrel rings this week, though. So
That's okay.
that's all right. We had a bunch last week. If you want to submit any, a text or a voicemail message, you can do so right from your mobile device.
Yes.
We got a number for you. That's 859
428
8253. 859-428-8253. Send us a text, leave us a voicemail, whatever. We will read it out or listen to it here on the show. But we don't have any this week, and that's okay.
It's okay.
We just appreciate you.
Yes.
High proof hot takes.
I got one.
I don't think I do either.
I don't feel like getting in a bad mood.
Cool.
I probably could, but I don't want to.
Yeah. What's the other thing we do? Tips and bits. That's what it is.
Bits. It's not always whiskey related. It can be, but it's usually what have we been watching, playing, reading, anything non-whiskey related that we would recommend to somebody. Perry, what do you have this week?
Lucy and I have been watching The Studio on Apple TV. I was telling you a little bit about it, about a very funny episode involving a movie that they're developing. But it's Seth Rogen's show on Apple TV. It's very funny. Catherine Hahn's a part of it as well. Ike Barinholtz. Just a phenomenal show. I feel like Apple TV is maybe the most slept on streaming service in general, even though it does have, Severance, which people are, raving about. I've not gotten around to watching Severance yet.
It's got the Godzilla show too. The one about what is the company that deals with all the monsters?
Crap. I don't know.
Monarch, Legacy of Monsters.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And it deals with that company that works around all the monsters and stuff, which I watched a couple episodes. It was pretty good. And then it's one of those things that other stuff came out and then I was like, okay, I'll come back to it. And I never come back to it. But it looked awesome.
Yeah. I got a lot of things like that right now where I'm just going, no, come back to it. And just haven't done so
sometimes you
yet.
have to just be like, I can't do it right now because you don't want to watch one episode and then watch a bunch of other stuff and then forget the episode you just watched and all that. So,
I also just found a new YouTube channel that I watched a few videos from the other night that I really enjoyed, and it's a little bit humorous, but also a good short form way to gain some knowledge. It's called Chill Dude Explains.
Dude.
It's kind of a list.
Chill dude.
Just a chill dude, It's kind of listicle formatted, but not in the way that it's talking down to you. But it's a really good way to keep yourself informed on things that you feel like have been entered into your brain.
Yeah.
That you've also been misinformed on. There's one thing or one episode that I watched about health myths, and one of them was that if you don't wear a hat, you're going to catch cold. And
true.
That's more true for kids or babies, right? Because their head is one of the largest parts of their bodies.
Yeah,
so that's where
thermoregulation.
So that's where most of the heat from their body is going to escape. So it's more important for them to wear a hat so that it traps, the heat. But when you're a kid, an actual kid, 7, 8, 9, 10, your head is more proportional to the rest of your body. So when your mom was telling you oh, you need to wear a hat so you don't catch cold, it's less true because your body is more regulated. You're going to lose just as much heat from your limbs as you would through your head.
Right.
And the same is true for when you're an adult. So it's things like that. Just kind of these generalized myths that are dispelled through that, and just some other things that are widely accepted as truth that are
like Marilyn Manson and his rib.
there's probably a video that includes that
I would expect that.
in there too. It's not
Yeah.
all myths. It's also just, some like, other health things,
Yeah.
or just explaining like, different
An
historical
apple a day
facts as
keeps
well.
the doctor away.
Also, not true.
Yeah.
But, anyway, good channel.
Sounds fun.
Chill Dude Explains. Go
I
check
like
it
that.
out.
Well, I will just say Andor season 2 is freaking amazing. God bless Andor season 2. Episode 9. I don't even know what to say. Like, have you watched? Have you watched?
I'm not even close to getting caught up.
Well, I want you to get caught up so we can talk about it. But some of
Time to binge.
some of the best Disney Plus content ever. And I will say this again, and I'm going to lead into something else I watched, which was Thunderbolts. I don't even know if I'm allowed to call it that anymore.
I don't, man.
Okay, Thunderbolts. I'm not even going to spoil it in case somebody has been so out of tune with stuff that they changed the name of it because of something that happens at the end of this movie. But it's so good. Like, I will put this in my top 10 Marvel movies just based on like the complexity of Sentry. If you've ever read the comic, he is a very mental health complex character.
Yeah.
And I think what they did on screen with all the stuff, and I don't know, I love this movie so much. I love Andor season 2, Andor season 1, Rogue One. And the main theme of all that is, I've said this, I'm repeating myself, but with Andor, Rogue One, Thunderbolts, and I will put Thunderbolts close to like Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier is one of my favorite Marvel movies ever.
Oh yeah.
If Winter Soldier is my second favorite Marvel movie, Thunderbolts is probably my sixth, like in that line. All because you can take the Star Wars out of Andor, Rogue One, and name it something else, do something else, and it's just an amazing story.
Yeah.
You can call it whatever. You can take all that out and it'd still be awesome. Winter Soldier, Thunderbolts, you can take the Marvel out of it and just have like this like spy slash action slash like mercenary type story, and it'd be so good. And to me, that's one of the best things you can say about something is if you take the most popular theme of it out and it's still good.
Yeah.
Then you add that theme into it that's already awesome, then you just made something amazing.
Yeah.
So, Andor season 2, I mean, they release 3 episodes at a time, and next week the last 3 episodes come out, and then it's like those 3 episodes and then Rogue One. So that's it.
That's
next
crazy.
week. And Thunderbolts, I'm sorry that you got spoiled because as someone
It's
like
fine.
whatever, like we are similar with, we know our comic parts of it, and
That was just a weird thing to
there was a certain
change
team-
it up to.
I know, but it makes sense when you see it. But also, as somebody who knows that name from the comics, you're like, oh my god. But yeah,
Interesting.
that's what I got.
Well,
you know what else I got?
What?
Patreon.
That's
You should
good.
go there.
Yeah, you should.
You should subscribe to the show on Patreon. You can follow us.
No spoilers on Patreon.
No spoilers. There's a lot more on Patreon. But for as little as $1 a month, you can support the show. But at $5, you get all the bonus stuff. You get this episode early, uncut. All the stuff we've talked about that nobody else hears. We did a little extra pour on there. We've talked about different things. You also get the pregame chats. You get all the other bonus episodes. We did a little Sampling Irresistible. Not really. We did a preparing me for
Mutant
Madness. Did I win? I don't know. Who's to say?
All the little cuts that I've done this
Yes.
week.
But there's Pop Chicka Wawa where we open a new bottle and talk about it, and then there's Pours from the
Also,
Floor.
I really hope that you won, considering that we've got professionals on this week for the interviews.
What? They are professionals. They also have a sense of humor, so it's all good.
Yeah, it's fine.
I
hope.
So either way, Patreon, that's the best place to do it. You can also go to all social media. You can follow the show as a whole at My Bourbon Pod. You can follow me at Whiskey Mutant. You can follow Perry at PReader1792. If you want some merch, you can go to bourbonshop.threadless.com. Eventually, there will be some Whiskey Mutant merch on there. Right now, you got all 10-bit stuff. Perry puts all the designs up there. That's the best place to get all the merch. If you want to send an email, it's pretty similar to the shop. Bourbon Shop, nope. This is my bourbon shop at gmail.com. Send an email there. If you want to request something, send us. If you're just real private like that and you don't want to send a DM on social media, it is what it is. If you want to send a sample or something to pair or just anything, P.O. Box
22609 Lexington, Kentucky 40522.
Go there. If you want to go to Facebook, we have a Facebook group. This is my Bourbon Podcast Facebook group. YouTube, you can watch this episode. You need to like, comment, subscribe, do all the stuff. It always helps. Perry goes live every Thursday night. You can go in there and talk to him. He will talk to you.
I also multi-stream between there and Twitch, twitch.tv/mybourbongamer. Go and follow there if you haven't done so already. Trying to hit the affiliate tier on Twitch.
Help him hit the tier.
Please. We're going to be streaming over there once we both get that sweet Nintendo Switch 2 here by this time next month.
It's crazy. It's so close.
Yeah.
Be
switching it up.
Switching it up.
Pew, 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 pew.
That's a good way to end the episode.
Yeah, I can't think of anything else we have to say other than please leave us a rating and review.
Perry shot first.
Oh, that's true. Let's see if we have any new ratings and reviews. We don't.
Rated R.
For Ritter, which is
in the episode.
I'm going to throw myself out the window.
Go ahead.
Let's see y'all next week. How about that? Until then, though, we love you. Thank you for all your support.
It's okay.
I know.
It's
not all bangers.
Not everything hits the same way.
Sometimes we just need to flush it right down the toilet and say bye-bye.
You got one bite of donut left. So until then, I'm Eric. That's Perry. He's
I'm Perry.
finishing a donut.
See you next time.
See you next week.
Love you.
Bye.